right, guys, and here we go. We're Fede from SSL presenting the new Origin desk, the large format that just launched here at the AES show 2019.
Right, yeah.
So can you tell us a little bit more about this desk? And
Absolutely, yeah. This is a brand new SSL design, really. We've kind of not only went back to our roots on the design layout, as you can tell here. We've also designed a brand new set of microphone preamps for this whole desk. So a lot of it is brand new technology. It's discrete transistor FET technologies and the new microphone preamps. So we're calling them pure drive. And the pure side of the microphone pre is very clean, very low noise. If you want to drive the microphone pre, you hit the button on the top and you can basically drive the circuit and add a lot of harmonics, especially as you push it harder and harder, you get more and more harmonics out of it. You've got direct outputs on every channel.
So you can go straight into
into the digital audio workstation, exactly. From there, you have your 6 effect sends here. The first 2 are your Q effects. Those are stereo.
Yeah.
Those are connected to the fold-back system over here. So you can do a me mix or a band mix, let's say. Right below that, if you want more effect sends, you have the mono ones. So these 4 auxes that you see here are normally selected to be a post fader. You hit the pre-fader and you can use them as additional headphone mixes. Going just below that, you've got your filter, your high pass filter, and your EQ. Now this EQ is a 242 Black Knob series EQ. It's really one of our most popular series of EQs that we put out. So again, we went classic SSL on this. So when you combine the two, the microphone drive and the EQ, you kind of see where we were heading with this system. We moved the EQs down. Normally they would be up here.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah. We found that a lot of people just would have an easier time instead of reaching constantly off to the top. And on that note as well, reaching to the top of the desk, we have this really clever bus routing.
Right.
The console has 16 track buses on it, but you don't see any buttons on the top, and the reason for that is you got a central matrix over here.
Right there.
So this is all controllable. It's very smart matrix design. You select, I want that channel to that bus. You select it. I want this channel to go to that bus. You select it. Tell me what's on bus number 1. It blinks if there's something connected to it. You can do a lot of clever things like paint the sequential buses just by holding a button here and a button there. And then 3 seconds later, it blinks, and there it is.
Wow.
It's now sequentially connected on the console.
That's really cool because it allows to work faster and faster.
Exactly, and to chase routing problems should you not know. One easy one is like hit shift,
and clear.
And just clear it all out. There, problem solved. Now you've basically back to
That's
square
great
one.
you're saying this. I teach at SE Amsterdam, and we have one of yours 6,000 that actually was purchased by one of the BBC trucks. So it's a lot. I think it's more than 32 channels. It's a really big desk, and it got all the usual matrix assigning bus on the top. And one of the biggest challenges for the students is actually, they lose the signal. So when it's so much stuff going on with the 6K, in that case, that very often they get lost. So signal flow wise. In this case, you can clearly see what channel has been assigned to which bus, and you can reverse that, and you can change it. You can clear it just with the flip of a button. That's really smart.
And of course, it makes the desk smaller and less prone to failures and switches and failures and things. So for ultimately, it's a better workflow as well as it's a better, a longer lasting design.
Indeed, and then we also have another desk from SSL, one of the new ones, the AWS, of course.
Yes.
That's a beautiful desk. I really love it because it's compact. You got still the SSL Sonic imprint in there. Here I see you guys went back to the double fader, so the proper inline way of doing things.
The working end of the desk over here, you've got your small fader just above your large fader.
Right.
So this is the classic layout that a lot of people are still enamored by. They love it. It's very flexible. It's very powerful. Clearly, we did it really well back then, and it still continues to be something people want. So we went back to that design, and on the top here, you've got your small fader. You have the ability to address the EQ or any of the effect sends in whatever combination to this path or to this path. So again, that routing capability is all there, all that freedom that you have. You've got insert that's separate, discrete insert for both faders. And
great.
you have the ability also to send both faders to the main mix bus so you can double your channel count.
Makes sense.
And one last thing, actually, probably this is really interesting to a lot of digital workstation users. You can zero out the faders. So if you prefer to just have the automation coming from in the box and have that drive the mix, and you could just simply take the
bring
fader
it
out
down
of
to
circuit.
stereo stands, for instance, and making sure that everything is exactly as it is by using analog summing.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
great.
Yeah, everything is in unity gain. Yeah, and it's really easy to work with that way.
That's very smart as well.
Yeah.
And then tell me a little bit more about the center section. This looks really, really new. I've never seen such a thing.
It is.
From you guys.
I mean, obviously, all of the circuits here are new. Our mix bus circuits are all new on this. But the real clever element of this is that you can move this around. So you can configure this. Typically, what most people want to do, obviously, is be in the sweet spot. And often when your computer is sitting off to the side, you have to kind of veer away from the sweet spot.
Yeah.
So we wanted to make sure that people could stay right here. So we have a spot over here for a trackpad, but you can move this up because it's rack-based.
Wow.
It's 19-inch rack-based. You just slide it up, mount it up here, for example, and put your keyboard right over here. Or if you want, maybe you have a 500 series chassis. You can install the chassis right into here and have additional processing. Like in our case here, we put in the Black Series Dynamics, which is a perfect complement for this. And this is just one example. We're only just showing an example of how to do this. If you wanted to maybe put a flat screen panel up here, this display, this of course would block these meters.
Correct.
You can unmount these meters and put them down here. So you wouldn't lose access to them, and your monitor would be right here. So this is your primary station. You're basically looking at your computer. You're right in the sweet spot. Left hand is the first 16 channels, right hand is the next.
That is really awesome, because as you probably know, nowadays we work more and more into the box, but then some of us still prefer the analog workflow or whatever, the sounding capabilities. What we end up having is a big desk and a bunch of keyboards, mouses all around our analog desk. In this case, you guys thought about it and say, okay, if you actually have needs in terms of ergonomics to have, let's say, a screen over there, that's absolutely no problem. You can move the meters down here. You want a 500 series, instead of always scrolling down or the right or on the back, you got it in the center section, you never have to move from the sweet spot, which is extremely cool. Yeah. All right.
I mean, we have a lot of products like the X Desk, the one that you own, and the XL Desk. And one of the things that we realized was there's definitely a client that wants the DAW integrated right into their desk, much more so. Yeah. And then you have the other side of that, where they want the analog to be just by itself, but having the access, the physical access, easier. This is where the design really comes into play.
It's a big game changer, I think. It really is. And I can see you also put in, of course, the SSL bus compressor.
Yes, we did. Yeah, it would not be an SSL without a bus compressor. So there it is. There's a bus compressor. One of the new things about this one, of course, is that we did change the ballistics back to the original design. Okay. So some people might be thrown off a little by that.
I'm not.
The other thing that we did is we put in the high-pass filter on this one.
That's great.
So very similar to the one that we released with the 500 series.
Correct.
Same concept.
It's been a lot of requests for that.
Yeah, there's always been requests.
As you guys know, if you got, let's say you're just using the bus compressor on the left and right, the main mix, maybe the low end is over-triggering that compression, and you don't want that happen. So you just press in the high-pass filter on the sidechain, and it's gonna let it breathe without having any impact on your low end. That's great. That's great. You guys implemented that in here.
Yeah, and we did, of course, a full complement for the talkback system here. You do have the two foldbacks, which you can address individually. You can also have a listen microphone into the studio. You have the gain adjustment of that right over here. Sweet. You also have the listen mic compressor on that circuit. Okay. You have a listen mic compressor on the talkback input over here. And by the way, you do have access to both those LMCs in the back of the desk, so that you can patch them and maybe use them on your overheads
Right.
and get that really crunchy drum sound that
That's great.
like a Phil Collins crunchy drum
Yeah,
sound.
totally.
Yeah.
That's great. In terms of monitoring capabilities, what else do you have?
Yeah, you've got your monitoring system right over here. You've got 3 speaker selections over here, plus a headphone selection with its own gain knob that you see here. You can also bring in, besides the main mix bus, you have the 3 additional externals. So those are external stereo sources you can bring in. You can sum all of them together.
Cool.
Plus also a small, iPhone style connection.
The same that you guys put on the X desk.
Exactly, yeah. So it makes it very easy. As a matter of fact, on that point, we do have a section over here that's called external in, and you'll notice there is an oscilloscope right there. But most people these days, they'll have an oscilloscope right inside their iPhone.
Yeah.
You just simply jack that in. And by the way, because you can jack that right in, now you can take your iPhone and feed it into the console. And if you want to give the artist an opportunity to listen to that, you can.
That's really, really cool. Now, well, so much information. I'm really, really thrilled to see how this desk is going to do on the market.
Yeah.
In terms of pricing, what's the price we should expect, and when it's going to be available on the market?
We're expecting it to be available in March of 2020.
Okay.
And the price is going to be $49,999
Wow,
US.
you made it below 50K. That's really, 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 really good.
Or you can give us 50K. We give you a console and $1 back.
All right, that works. That works. I mean, I think this is going to be, it's going to be really, really good for a lot of up-and-coming professionals, and also the ones that like, I'm done with having to replace the power supply. For instance, the old SSLs always had this huge amount of power consumption because they were designed back in the days. They were supposed to be running on high volts. Now you guys kind of took all of the best features of that word, of that sonic imprint signature, and put it into a modern design desk that
Power
can serve.
supply is internal.
Right.
Yeah. It draws 1,000 watts. If you want it, you can actually have it set to a particular time period. When it's inactive for that period, it will power itself down. Or you can manually do so by hitting the button over here. Hold it for 3 seconds, blinks. The console's now drawing about 40 watts of power. You want to power it back on, hold the button again,
and it's back
and it
on.
does its power up sequence. And it takes it a few seconds to come back online.
That's really, really, really cool. I mean, I'm honestly going to be telling my manager, what about getting one of these in Studio B?
Yeah.
Because, SAE Amsterdam, we have 2 of your desks, an AWS and a 6K, as I was telling before. I think this will be a lovely addition to all of that.
Yeah.
So, man, thank you so much
very
for taking
welcome.
the
Thank you
time
for
to
coming
explain
out.
all of this. I'm sure people will be super thrilled.
Yeah.
And, I see you on the next show, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
Have a nice one.
Thank
Cheers.
you.